Hey guys, it's February 28th, last day of February, 2025. Um, it is our day off during Dream League Season 25. I'm just thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. I feel like the major topic of this week, I've been talking to a lot of my coworkers, especially Jenkins, has been like scarcity versus abundance mindset. And it's something that clearly Jenkins has spent a lot of time thinking about. Um, and for me, like when he mentioned it, I kind of just never. It's like I understood what he was saying, but I never really thought about this a lot. And so one of the many lessons I've learned in life is that when somebody talks about something to me, sometimes it's something that I can see as a character flaw with me, meaning they're just talking about it. I can see how it's like something I wish I would change or I knew about it. And then there's times where I just realized I never thought about it. And when somebody that I respect and value tells me that they've spent a lot of time thinking about something, um, I kind of just have learned to give the benefit of the doubt and to just trust that it's probably worth giving some thought myself. Um, So yeah, this whole like scarcity mindset thing is this idea that if somebody else gets something, then I lose something or I potentially lose something. I think it's a very relevant topic when it comes to being a talent in the Dota scene because there are limited spots in tournaments. And if theoretically I make somebody, when I say make, I help somebody to grow into being a better analyst, the scarcity mindset would mean that I don't do that because that means they might take my job. While the abundance mindset is more along the lines of by helping him grow or her as an analyst, I will be pushed to grow better myself, and the people of the Dota community will get a better product, right? They'll have better analysis and better chemistry on the panels and all that. And overall, we'll all grow, right? And it's really like I view scarcity mindset as something that people do, with all due respect, guys. Sometimes it's out of survival instinct, meaning they need this job and they need to effectively protect themselves, which sucks, but that's understandable. It is what it is. But also, I think it's just kind of a narcissistic behavior. And just to be clear, when I say somebody's a narcissist, have exhibiting narcissistic behavior, it doesn't mean I think you're a narcissist. It just means that behavior itself is very self-centered and very self-focused and ignoring the bigger picture. So yeah, I've kind of equated scarcity mindset as being much more narcissistic, self-centered, selfish, while I view abundance mindset as more something that I would love to align with. And so, with anything that I learn like this, meaning realizations that I come to, um, the way I generally handle it or go about it is, especially when it's something I haven't thought about much before, is I'm just kind of monitoring in my life how often I feel like I'm operating out of survival instinct, fear, and thus scarcity mindset. How often I'm getting caught up in my own thoughts and worrying about myself in times where it's not really necessary. I feel like that's something that we all do sometimes, or a lot, depending. Sometimes life kind of forces certain people into this mindset more, traps them per se in this mindset. And fortunately for me, my life circumstances, very lucky and very privileged that I feel like I have this being forced upon me far less than most. Um, and yeah, so I'm just gonna be kind of monitoring um, in the coming weeks, just how often I do or don't do this, basically. And kind of trying to think of life through the lens of scarcity versus abundance mindset. I think it's something that we can also do in relationships. We can do it when it comes to dating. Um, a wonderful, shout out to Kasha, a wonderful point that she made about this, because I've mentioned this to her, obviously, uh, is I'm anxious attachment. Recovering, I would like to say. I really think I've come a long way when it comes to being anxiously attached. And we talked about that a bit last week. But the scarcity mindset, I think, and she pointed this out, but I totally agree. So I'm more so giving my own wording of her perspective and what I now agree with, like I agree with after her mentioning it, is that with anxious attachment, the TLDR is you're more worried about making the other person happy rather than asking yourself how you're doing, how you're feeling. Is this friendship, relationship, whatever, good for you? And so anxious attachment is a scarcity mindset because you are worried about making the other person happy when you're kind of subconsciously operating under the assumption that that's the only chance you have, or you won't have very many chances, or this person's the only one that's really shown they love you, so have to make it work, you know? And I can tell you I've seen this one a lot. Like the second she mentioned it, I was just like, holy shit, I know so many people that do this. And it's obviously not my place to be like, yeah, you guys do this. But I think it's something for all of us to think about when we're operating with regards to a job, a romantic relationship, friendships. Are we trying desperately to make something work with a company that doesn't give a shit about us, with a friend that doesn't value us, with a romantic partner that doesn't effectively look after us in a way that, care for us, I guess you could say. I don't know the right word. Obviously, it's like a two-way street. Like, this was a babysit you or something. That's what it felt like I was saying when I said that. But I think you guys get the idea. And, it's like now my brain's racing now that I've like woken up, processed this a bit, talking about it out loud to you guys and my future self. Hey, Brian. Hope you're doing good, buddy. I literally just sent my head on like a spiral of like, what if I like had a serious accident happen to me and I look back and I see this version of myself worrying about all these things, and in reality, my life was. I mean, just because I worry about these things doesn't mean my life is bad, right? I'm very grateful for my life and overall very happy. Man, that was weird. Existential crisis, briefly experienced in the middle of my Friday, February 28th. Okay, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, I guess just when it comes to scarcity and abundance mindset, I think it prevents us from looking out for what's best for us. When we have a scarcity mindset, we're really stuck with making the situation we're currently in work. And I feel like when you do that, you're also enabling people around you to do the same. You're enabling the people that are mistreating you or not being a very good friend, however you want to look at it, to continue in their ways and have you as a friend. And I think nothing wakes people up more than to lose something. So like if somebody's not being a very good friend to me and I distance myself and say bye-bye, after trying, of course, you don't just give up instantly. That's the only message you can send sometimes, and some people hear it, some people don't. But I feel like the abundance mindset kind of is synonymous with, I deserve the best. And we all should say that, we all deserve the best. Obviously, in theory, that's not possible, but knowing something could be better, and for us, for the people around us, that we could be better, and just leaving it as is, I think is such a scarcity mindset, and it's at least correlated with it significantly. And I guess this event specifically, I think I mentioned it last week as well. I mean, it's almost towards the tail end of this event. I've worked predominantly. There's been other people tied in there, but predominantly with Lacoste, Jenkins, and Sheaver. And I'll just say that this is probably the most fun I've ever had in an entire event. So shout out to those three. Just such a fun time on panel. I hope as a viewer, if you guys are watching, that you can feel that we're having a fun time. I imagine you'd be able to. I can't remember the last time I had this much fun doing this job. It's like a pretty long hour job. You know, we wake up at 9, or like not wake up at 9. We leave for the studio at 9, get back at like 6:30. And I still have like an hour or two of prep work every day after that for the next day. So I am burned out, and I'm really grateful for today being a day off. We only got the day off because there's no tiebreakers going into the playoffs to, decide who makes it to the playoffs. But despite all of the burnout and despite really not having free headspace, I feel like right now is the first day that I've really had the chance to come up for air and not get hacked. I had it last week, but I got hacked. And kind of just smell the roses, appreciate the wonderful time that I've spent with the people here. And we've had some deep conversations outside of Dota, meaning like we're just on the Uber ride home and talking about life. And just some wise people, those three. Wise people. And I love that we all have such different experiences and such different backgrounds, and we're able to come together and talk about similar values that matter to us. And our perspectives on the value itself are so different, our approach, our the experiences that have shaped that perspective. I mean, it's such a privilege and a treat to work in a workplace with fantastic people from all over like this. I can't emphasize enough that I don't want to say I pity because that's the wrong word, but I really do feel bad for, which I think is most people that don't get to have these type of conversations with people of different backgrounds and cultures and perspectives, because growing up I never had this. I never had this for like the first 20 something years of my life. 32 now. Ooh, almost 33. Not almost, but like 9 months, whatever. And I guess I would just encourage you guys that if you see an opportunity to strike up a conversation with somebody you normally wouldn't, try to put yourself out there. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Fortunately, my life has almost forced me to do that. Meaning I didn't have a choice. So rather than having to work up the courage to do it, it just kind of happened, because when you surround yourself with people that you're working with and you're working towards a mutual goal, inevitably there's going to be a bond that's formed, right? Because you all are invested in something together. And the fact is, I think there's a lot of shit out there that we all have in common, and we all focus a lot on our differences. And I guess this conversation has taken quite a different turn than I originally envisioned coming into this. But, I also haven't truly reflected on the last week or so because of how busy I've been. It's funny because people say to me, please keep doing these. There's not too many comments on these videos, but the ones that are there, you guys seem very appreciative of this content. And the funny thing is, I'm learning about myself as I'm like speaking to you guys right now. Like, oh, that's where my brain is going. Oh yeah, I have been thinking about that, but I didn't really give myself the space to process it. So what's so beautiful about this alternate channel with these videos is that I feel like I'm more so making these videos for me than I am for anyone else. And I mean, I just think that means they'll always be there. I would love to see, 20 years down the road, fingers crossed, we're still here, that I am still making these videos. That'd be so fucking cool. Regardless of where my life has taken me, I just feel like these moments where I'm just talking out loud and effectively forcing a conversation with myself is what I feel like I'm doing right now. These are the type of conversations I do have with myself, but I realize more and more when I'm burned out and overburdened with work that I forget to check in with myself and just say, "Hey, Brian, what's up? How you doing? What are you thinking about?" And I already feel like so much better after recording this video. That's awesome. But yeah, gonna be looking forward to the next few weeks. Just gonna be monitoring. I'm gonna be back in Utrecht. Starting Monday. I'll be streaming next week, starting Wednesday. Back to the grind somewhat. Give myself a couple days off. I miss my life at home. The Netherlands does feel like home at this point. It has for a while, but I feel like a lot of people don't know that still. That's fine. And every time I go to these events, I just remember how happy I am and how lucky I am because I miss home so much. And you can only really miss something that much because you love it, So, yep. Going to be spending some time thinking about the scarcity mindset, abundance mindset related things. Finishing off the event. Come join us at Dream League Season 25. We're having a blast. And signing out this time. See you later, future Brian.